You know this feeling. You study at night, everything clicks. You feel sharp, confident, even proud. But the next morning, it's like someone snuck into your brain while you slept and wiped every file clean. You open the textbook, you recognize the words, but none of it connects, and you start thinking, why does my brain do this to me? But here's what no teacher, no textbook, and definitely no study app ever told you. Your brain isn't sabotaging you. Your brain is protecting you. It decides what gets stored and what gets deleted instantly. And the way you study right now, you're accidentally hitting the delete button every single time. Today, you're going to flip that switch. In the next 24 hours, you'll make your brain want to remember, naturally, automatically, effortlessly. And the final shift, the one in Chapter 6, is the exact system elite learners use without even realizing it. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Safety Lock. There's a moment when you sit down to study that you never notice. It's not fear, not panic, just this quiet pressure in your chest, a subtle heaviness that tells your body something's off. You skim the words, you pretend to focus, but your breath is shallow, your shoulders tight, your jaw quietly locked, and inside your brain whispers, "This doesn't feel safe." Most people never realize this, but your brain has a strict rule. If your body is tense, your brain refuses to learn. This isn't mindset, this is survival biology. When your nervous system senses threat, even tiny, invisible stress, your brain shuts off memory formation. It won't encode, it won't store, it won't save anything you're reading. That's why you reread the same line 5 times. That's why nothing sticks, no matter how hard you try. You're not a bad learner. You're a learner studying in a threat state. So before anything else, loosen your shoulders, exhale slowly, longer than you inhale. Let your spine settle into the chair, let your jaw unlock. In that small moment, you flip the safety lock. Your brain shifts from survival mode to learning mode. Now the real studying can begin. But even when the safety is off, most people fall straight into the next trap, the one that makes you feel like you're learning, while your brain quietly deletes everything. Chapter 2. The Illusion of Learning. There's a moment while studying that feels good, and that's exactly why it's dangerous. You read a paragraph, it makes sense, you nod, you feel confident. This is easy. I get it. But here's the brutal truth. Your brain doesn't store ease. Your brain stores effort. When something feels smooth, your brain assumes it's unimportant. Background noise, reading, highlighting, rewriting notes, listening. All of that feels productive, but creates zero memory. This is passive learning, the most convincing trap in studying. It gives you the illusion of understanding without the reality of memory. Your brain only saves what requires friction, what forces it to work, stretch, struggle. So here's the shift. Close the book. Explain the idea out loud, even if it sounds ugly, incomplete, or embarrassing. Even if you have to pause every few seconds because you suddenly realize you don't actually know it. That moment of reaching, that uncomfortable stretch, is the exact signal your brain waits for. That's the moment encoding begins. The hardest part? Your brain will resist it, because effort feels vulnerable. But you'll need that friction even more for the next enemy you're about to meet, the one that steals your focus before learning even begins. Chapter 3. The Open Loop. Overload. You ever try to study while your mind is quietly screaming elsewhere? That message you forgot to reply to, that task you left unfinished, that guilt from wasting time, that tiny anxiety buzzing under your ribs. These aren't distractions, they're open loops, unfinished thoughts your brain refuses to let go, and each one occupies mental space. Your brain has limited working memory. Think of it as a desk. If the desk is covered with old papers, reminders, doubts, and mental clutter, you can't place anything new on it. So the brain dumps fresh information off the edge. You forget not because your memory is weak, but because your mental desk is overcrowded and overwhelmed. Here's the instant fix. Simple, but powerful. Before studying, grab a sheet of paper and write down every open loop floating in your mind. Not to solve them, not to organize them, just to capture them. Your brain sees them written down and says, they're handled, I can let go. And suddenly, the desk is clear, space opens, focus strengthens, encoding begins. Only then does your brain have the bandwidth to actually store new information. And this clarity leads directly to the next piece of the system, the mechanism that separates forgetfulness from mastery. Chapter 4. The Emotional Tag. There's a reason you forget textbook facts, but never forget heartbreaks. Why random classroom details disappear, but a single embarrassing moment from years ago still makes your stomach drop. Your brain doesn't save information based on importance. It saves it based on emotion. Your amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system, decides what gets tagged for storage. Anything that feels personal, painful, exciting, meaningful. Anything that triggers even the slightest emotional spark gets stamped with a "keep this" label. Once tagged, the memory gets saved almost automatically. But your study material? Dry, flat, emotionless, just ink on paper. Your brain looks at it and says, "This won't affect our survival. Delete." And that's the real problem. Not your ability, not your intelligence, not your memory. You're not forgetful. You're unconnected. Your brain saves what feels like you and deletes what feels like not you. So before you study anything, ask, how does this connect to my future self? Maybe it helps you get the career you want. Maybe it gives you leverage. Maybe it gets your parents off your back. Maybe it moves you closer to the life you're building. Any link, even tiny, activates the emotional tag. Once tagged, your brain stops treating the information like clutter and starts treating it like something that matters. Because the amygdala only cares about one thing, meaning. And when something has meaning, your brain doesn't just store it, it protects it. But even with emotion on your side, there is still one final rule. One biological law you cannot skip. The law that decides whether a memory survives or vanishes overnight. Chapter 5. The 24-hour law. Memory isn't permanent. It's perishable. Every piece of information you study comes with an invisible countdown timer. 24 hours. During sleep, your brain reviews your entire day like a security guard checking footage. Every thought, every fact, every task. And for each one, it quietly asks, do we keep this or delete it? If you don't revisit the information within 24 hours, your brain assumes it wasn't important and sends it straight to the trash folder. Not because you're forgetful, not because you're slow, but because this is how the brain conserves energy. This is the forgetting curve, your brain's natural efficiency system. Fresh memories are fragile, like wet cement. Touch them once within 24 hours, they harden. Ignore them. They crack and crumble as if they never existed. You don't have a memory problem. You have a reinforcement problem. And reinforcement is shockingly simple. Here's the fix. Before sleeping, take 3 minutes and try to recall everything you studied that day. Not rereading, not reviewing, not scanning your notes, recalling from memory. Even if it's messy, even if it's incomplete, those 3 minutes send a powerful signal. This matters. Keep it, and your brain listens. During REM sleep, your brain replays that information 6 to 8 times automatically. It strengthens the neural connections, cements the details, and moves the memory into long-term storage. That's consolidation, the quiet, invisible process that determines whether you forget or whether you master. But everything up until now, every technique, every shift, every fix, leads into one final mechanism, the biological sequence that elite learners rely on without knowing it. This last piece doesn't just improve memory, it transforms it. Chapter 6. The biological sequence. There's a moment, small, invisible, but incredibly powerful, where your brain makes a decision. This stays, or this goes. It happens in milliseconds, and it only happens when a precise biological pattern unfolds. A sequence. Learn, struggle, rest, reactivate. This is the 24-hour mechanism elite learners use instinctively, even if they have no idea why it works. Here's how the system actually plays out. 1. Learn for 25 minutes, the encoding phase. This is when your brain takes in new information. But the real magic isn't the studying, it's what comes next. 2. Struggle for 2 minutes, the retrieval trigger. You close the book, you look away, and you force your brain to reach. Even if you remember only 20%, that struggle lights up neurons like nothing else. It tells your brain, this information matters. Keep it. 3. Rest for 5 minutes, the stabilization phase. When you stop, your brain starts. It sorts. It organizes. It begins the chemical process of strengthening the memory. Rest isn't a break. It's biological glue. 4. Reactivate once within 24 hours, the consolidation phase. This is the step almost everyone skips, and it's the most important one. A single recall attempt, just one, within 24 hours tells your brain, store this permanently. 5. Final recall before sleep, the lock-in. During REM, your brain replays the memory 6, 7, 8 times. That's when it moves from short-term space into long-term storage. This is why you forget. You break the sequence. This is why you remember. You follow it. Your memory never failed you. Your process did. But now you're studying in alignment with your biology. You're using the system your brain was literally designed for. Learn with intention. Struggle a little. Rest deliberately. Reactivate consistently. Study less. Trigger more. Repeat strategically. And once you begin using this sequence, you'll feel something shift. Quietly at first, then unmistakably. A new clarity. A new sharpness. A brain that finally works with you, not against you. permanently, effortlessly, powerfully. When your world gets quieter, your memory gets louder. You were never slow, never broken, never bad at studying. You were just working against your biology instead of with it. But that changes now. And if you want to take this even deeper, if you want studying to feel automatic, like your brain slips into focus without you fighting it, the video waiting on the left of your screen is exactly where you go next. That's where you learn how to turn discipline into something your brain does by itself. Watch that next, and studying stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like autopilot.